We hear this phrase quite often. In order to get ahead at work, you need to be likable. We're told that it's not those who put in the effort and achieve success in measurable aspects that get ahead, but rather those who make others like them, not by force, but by the power of their charm and personality. It's not treated as an opinion or something to be incorporated into your routine. No, it is treated as a law of nature in the social realm, almost like smiling makes you happy or frowning makes you sad. But how true is this statement? Does likability matter as much as they say it does? And if so, how can you make yourself more likable at work in order to get ahead? These are questions I've had in my mind before and about which I spoke to many friends, some of which, surprisingly, to me at least, got very heated and intense, which confused me because I didn't think too much about it, but I realized how strongly some people felt about this topic. So, how true is this claim? And does it matter as much as people say it does? Well, there's definitely truth to that idea because no one likes to work with someone they hate or who is difficult all around. They want someone who greases the social wheels, not make them grind. That doesn't surprise me because I, along with other rational and sane human beings, prefer to work with those we like rather than those we dislike. Humans are egotistic in a way, and we prefer the easy rather than the hard road. If there is no good reason to be around someone who is difficult, nor is there any grand benefit that comes from it, the majority of people will simply decline working with someone they dislike. And honestly, who can blame them? Life is hard as it is. So why introduce more hardship, especially where there isn't any real benefit besides just building your patience? So now let's talk about whether likability matters as much as they say it does. The reality is that it absolutely does, but with a caveat. You see, when people talk about likability, they're generally talking about a superficial charm that sweeps people off their feet and makes them intoxicated, more or less. They're generally, at least in my opinion, not talking about having character and being an interesting individual who offers genuine and practical value to the company and your coworkers. What they are really talking about is someone who knows how to play politics at work. Learning that can be useful because every workplace has its own politics, which you need to navigate. But when it isn't combined with the main approach of having character, it becomes a shallow high school playground of cool and not so cool kids. In this case, you actually do not want to be likable if you care about maintaining the spine you have in your back. But if you only care about money and popularity and not morals, then ignore everything I said and proceed to your own inevitable destruction. Since I already pretty much answered how to become more likable at work to get ahead, there's no point in giving a completely new and different answer. But I will add this: likability at work is not what you think it is. It is not merely about building organic connections without strong ulterior motives. It is rather a very selfish game which requires you to be either the hunter or the hunted, plain and simple. I know others might accuse me of being cynical or even impractical since their main priorities aren't the ethics, but rather the results that this approach produces. I say, fine. Make the choices you feel you need to make, but do not complain about the ensuing consequences of said choices. Doing something because it's expedient is something only someone with a very weak or questionable moral compass does. Such a person cannot truly be trusted because their main priority is fitting in, not operating based on solid and reasonable values. You should not trust such people or be too close to them. They will make you give up on your principles little by little, all in the name of being practical, because that's how the world is, not how you want it to be. With friends like that, who needs enemies? You need someone who will encourage you to keep your principles, but at the same time modify them so that they become more aligned with objective reality instead of being too rigid and limiting. Adaptation is certainly a very necessary skill to have, especially in the workplace. You cannot always have things your way unless you want to have your own company where you can do whatever you want. But at the same time, you should not be forced to constantly shift and shape like a chameleon wherever you go, because this is untrustworthy behavior and a sign of someone who lacks self-esteem. As always, some personal balance has to be achieved in order for you to function properly. Too much of either principle or practicality will always come back to haunt you. So make sure you think clearly and consult people who are wise rather than those who just want you to follow the crowds blindly. Anyways, that's it for this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. I'll see you in the next video.